Welcome to Wisdom in Question, where we explore timeless wisdom and life-changing insights. What if everything you believe about yourself, your dreams, fears, and values, was never truly yours? What if they were carefully placed upon you by society, your family, and your culture? From birth, we are molded to fit expectations, wearing a mask that Jung called the persona. We smile when expected, agree when we disagree, and suppress our true selves just to belong. But here's the real question: who are you when the mask falls away? If you had never been told who to be, who would you have become? The moment you dare to remove the mask is the moment your real life begins. Carl Jung believed that real awakening comes from looking within. In this video, we'll explore his powerful insights on self-discovery, the unconscious mind, and the hidden forces shaping your identity. From the masks we wear to the shadows we ignore, uncover the path to true authenticity, and maybe, for the first time, meet the real you. The persona is the social mask we wear to navigate life, a carefully crafted identity designed for acceptance and validation. Carl Jung saw it as a necessary adaptation, but the danger lies in mistaking it for our true self. Consider a corporate professional, confident, authoritative, and admired. Yet beneath the surface, he feels empty. He has success, recognition, and financial stability, yet something is missing. In perfecting his persona, he has lost touch with his real self. The more we invest in our persona, the more we drift from our essence. We live for expectations, not authenticity, blurring the line between who we are and who we pretend to be. Jung believed this disconnection breeds inner conflict, anxiety, and inauthenticity. Suppressed parts of ourselves don't disappear, they resurface as suffering. The persona serves a function, but when it defines us, we lose ourselves. True self-discovery begins when we question the mask, peeling back layers to reveal what's real, our authentic self. Society rewards the polished persona, one that conforms, performs, and aligns with expectations. The better we play the role, the more we are accepted. But at what cost? The more we invest in our persona, the more we lose touch with our true self. We suppress thoughts, emotions, and desires to fit a mold, convincing ourselves it's necessary for survival. Yet, beneath the surface, a quiet unease lingers. Is this all there is? From birth, we are shaped by external forces, parents, culture, society, assigned labels that define us before we define ourselves. Carl Jung believed true life begins when we stop performing and start discovering. To live authentically, we must question everything. Are our dreams our own, or were they placed there by others? Self-discovery is uncomfortable. It demands peeling away the mask and confronting uncertainty. But only in seeking truth over approval do we step into the life we were meant to live. Otherwise, we remain trapped, successful yet empty, admired yet unfulfilled. The persona serves a purpose, but when it becomes our identity, we lose ourselves. The journey inward begins when we dare to ask, who am I beneath the mask? Self-discovery is not a straightforward path. It is filled with struggle, discomfort, and the need to face the parts of ourselves that we would rather ignore. This is where the real work begins, and it is not easy. One of the most challenging aspects of this journey is confronting what Carl Jung called the shadow, the hidden, repressed part of ourselves that we are often unwilling to acknowledge. The shadow is made up of the qualities, emotions, and desires we have pushed into the unconscious, usually because they are deemed unacceptable or undesirable by society. These are the parts of ourselves we hide, the things we repress out of fear of rejection, judgment, or failure. The shadow includes our deepest fears, insecurities, and the darker aspects of our personality that we often refuse to face. It is the side of ourselves that we don't want to acknowledge, the side that we would rather keep buried, because confronting it means confronting the very things we fear most. Take, for example, a person who outwardly appears kind, compassionate, and generous. They are the model of politeness and goodwill, always willing to help others and spread positivity. However, deep inside, this same person harbors deep resentment, anger, and frustration. They have spent years suppressing these feelings, believing that expressing them would make them unlovable or worse, rejected by those around them. As a result, their true feelings remain buried and their relationships become increasingly strained. They may struggle with passive aggression or feelings of isolation, unable to understand why they feel so disconnected from others. This is the power of the shadow. It shapes our behaviors, our reactions, and our relationships in ways we are often unaware of. When we repress parts of ourselves, they don't simply vanish. They fester beneath the surface, creating internal conflict and influencing our actions in unconscious ways. As Jung wrote, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The shadow is not something to be feared or rejected. Rather, it is something that must be embraced and integrated. The Jungian challenge, then, is to confront this hidden self, the shadow, and integrate it into our conscious identity. Only by doing so can we achieve wholeness. Jung argued that true individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are, requires us to face the parts of ourselves that we have denied, to bring them into the light and accept them as integral parts of who we are. This is not an easy task. It requires honesty, courage, and the willingness to look within, even when we are afraid of what we might find. But here's the paradox. The more we resist the shadow, the more power it holds over us. The more we try to suppress it, the more it controls our thoughts, behaviors, and relationships. Only by confronting it, accepting it, and integrating it into our identity can we begin to find true freedom. Because the shadow is not a villain, it is a part of us that, when understood and accepted, can become a source of strength, wisdom, and growth. So if you want to live authentically, if you want to discover who you truly are, you must be willing to face your shadow. It is uncomfortable, it is messy, but it is the only way to reclaim the parts of yourself that have been lost. The journey to self-discovery begins not with the light, but with the willingness to walk into the darkness and confront the hidden parts of your soul. Only then can you truly become whole. The battle of identity is one that is often fought without us even realizing it. From the moment we are born, we begin to absorb the narratives of the world around us. Our childhood, our culture, our experiences, all of these forces shape how we see ourselves and the roles we believe we are meant to play. These external influences create unconscious scripts that we follow, often without questioning whether they reflect our true selves or if they are merely expectations imposed upon us by others. As children, we are told who we should be by our parents, our teachers, and society at large. We are taught how to behave, what to value, and how to fit in. If we are rewarded for being obedient, we learn to be compliant. If we are praised for being successful, we strive to meet those external markers of achievement. Slowly, these outside voices begin to form the story we tell ourselves about who we are. We internalize these lessons, and they shape the very core of our identity. But as we grow older, we start to realize that not all of these stories belong to us. The more we try to fit into the molds created by others, the more we begin to lose sight of who we truly are. We reject parts of ourselves that don't align with the image of who we should be. Perhaps we suppress our creative side because it doesn't fit the professional narrative we've been taught to follow. Or we push down our emotional needs because vulnerability is seen as a weakness. We shape ourselves to fit the box we believe we are supposed to occupy, even though, deep down, we may feel discomfort or even pain in doing so. Jung argued that this process of rejecting parts of ourselves in order to conform is one of the most damaging things we can do. True self-discovery, he believed, is about breaking free from these external narratives and embracing all aspects of who we are. We must stop performing the roles that others have assigned us and begin the journey of integrating every part of ourselves, even the parts we have been taught to hide. This doesn't mean we throw away all the lessons we've learned from our culture, family, or experiences. The goal is not to abandon the positive aspects of these influences, but rather to question whether they truly reflect our authentic selves. Are the values we hold genuinely ours, or have they been handed down to us? Are the choices we make truly in alignment with our desires, or are we simply following a script written by someone else? True self-discovery, according to Jung, involves breaking free from the stories we have been told and writing our own. It is about recognizing the roles we've been playing and deciding whether they truly fit us. It's about rejecting the external pressures that dictate how we should live and stepping into a life where we are free to express our true nature. Only then can we find the integration that leads to wholeness, when we stop denying parts of ourselves and instead accept them fully. In the battle of identity, the only way to win is to break free from the chains of external influence. We must step away from the scripts that have been imposed upon us and start telling our own stories. This is the essence of Jung's work, that we are not meant to be defined by the roles that others assign to us, but by the authentic, multifaceted selves that we discover through introspection, integration, and acceptance. As we continue on the journey of self-discovery, we come face to face with the psychological archetypes that shape our lives in ways we may not even realize. These archetypes are universal patterns of behavior, deeply embedded in our unconscious minds. They are part of our collective human experience, representing different aspects of who we can be and the roles we are naturally drawn to play. Carl Jung identified these archetypes as powerful forces that influence our thoughts, actions, and motivations, often without us recognizing their hold over us. Think of the hero, the caregiver, the rebel, and the sage. These are just a few of the archetypes that shape our inner world. The hero is driven by a desire to prove themselves, to overcome obstacles, and to rise above challenges. The caregiver is motivated by a need to nurture, to care for others, and to ensure the well-being of those around them. The rebel, on the other hand, is driven by the urge to challenge authority, break free from constraints, and forge their own path. And the sage seeks wisdom, understanding, and clarity, always in pursuit of truth and knowledge. We are all influenced by these archetypes, but perhaps in different combinations and intensities. Some of us may feel strongly connected to one archetype, while others may embody multiple at different points in our lives. But here's the critical question: which archetype drives you? Are you living your life in alignment with your true nature? Or are you playing a script written by someone else based on an archetype that doesn't belong to you? For instance, imagine you have spent your entire life fulfilling the role of the caregiver. You've always put others' needs ahead of your own, believing that this is the path to fulfillment. But over time, you begin to feel drained, resentful, and disconnected from your own desires. You may realize that, in constantly prioritizing others, you've neglected your own dreams and aspirations. Perhaps your true archetype is the rebel, the one who craves freedom and independence. Yet you have spent your life in the shadow of the caregiver, never fully allowing yourself to explore that rebellious, adventurous side. This is why it is so important to recognize the archetypes that influence us. Until we do, we can never fully know ourselves. We may think we are following our own path, but in reality we could be stuck playing a role that was imposed on us by external influences or by our unconscious mind. The moment we begin to identify the archetypes at play in our lives, we gain the power to choose which ones we want to embrace and which ones we want to leave behind. Jung believed that the process of individuation, becoming our authentic selves, requires us to recognize and integrate these archetypes. It's not enough to merely identify them. We must understand how they shape our behaviors and motivations and consciously choose how we express them. If we are living a life driven by an archetype that no longer serves us, we must give ourselves permission to shift. By recognizing the archetypes that drive us, we can step out of the shadows and into the light of our true selves. These universal patterns are not just external forces, they are within us, waiting to be recognized. When we acknowledge them, we unlock a deeper understanding of who we are, why we act the way we do, and how we can begin to live more authentically. The path to self-discovery is not about trying to escape these archetypes. It's about recognizing them, embracing the ones that resonate with us, and releasing the ones that no longer fit. Only then can we live a life that is truly our own, shaped not by external expectations, but by the deepest, truest parts of who we are. The journey of self-discovery often leads us to a crisis, a moment of reckoning where we must confront one of our deepest fears. What if everything you believe about yourself is an illusion? This is the heart of the crisis of self-discovery, the fear of letting go. For most of us, our persona, the mask we wear for the world, has become the foundation of our identity. It provides us with a sense of security, a way to navigate the world and be accepted by others. Our persona is built on the narratives we have created about ourselves, stories we've told ourselves for years about who we are, what we stand for, and what we believe. But what if these stories, these beliefs are not true? What if they are simply a construct, a facade that we've built to avoid facing the deeper, more complex parts of ourselves? The fear of letting go of this illusion is paralyzing. Our persona gives us a sense of control, of certainty, and letting it go feels like stepping into the unknown. It's terrifying to think that everything we've based our life on could crumble. We fear that if we stop performing the roles that others expect of us, if we stop wearing the mask, we will be lost, adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The idea of confronting the true self without the safety net of our persona feels like a leap into the abyss. But here's the truth. Real life begins when you embrace the unknown parts of yourself. The moment you let go of the false security of your persona, you open yourself up to something far more authentic and transformative. You begin to live not according to the expectations of others, but according to the truth of who you really are. And while this may feel terrifying at first, it is also liberating. Self-discovery requires vulnerability. It requires us to let go of the identities we have clung to for so long and face the raw, unfiltered truth of who we are. It means acknowledging our flaws, our fears, and the parts of ourselves we have long hidden from the world, and perhaps even from ourselves. But it also means embracing the parts of us that are full of potential, creativity, and depth. These are the parts that have been suppressed by our persona, but they are waiting to be discovered. The fear of letting go is real, and it's natural to resist the process. It's comfortable to stay within the boundaries of our persona, even if it no longer fits us. But the longer we cling to it, the more we limit ourselves. True self-discovery can only occur when we are willing to let go of the false security that our persona provides. It is only when we step into the unknown, when we embrace the uncertainty of who we might become, that we can experience the fullness of life. So, ask yourself, what parts of your persona are you holding on to out of fear? What is it that you are afraid to lose? And what might you discover about yourself if you were to let go of those illusions and embrace the truth, however messy or uncomfortable it may be? The crisis of self-discovery is not something to fear. It is the doorway to a life that is truly yours. And though it may feel like a loss at first, it is the beginning of something far greater than you can imagine. The resolution of this journey is the process of individuation, becoming whole. It is the culmination of everything Carl Jung spoke about, the final step toward discovering and living as our true selves. Individuation is not a destination, but a continuous process of growth, integration, and transformation. It is about peeling away the layers of false identities and societal conditioning to reveal the authentic person we were always meant to be. Individuation begins with awareness. The first step in this journey is to recognize the masks we wear and the societal conditioning that has shaped our beliefs, behaviors, and identities. This requires an honest, fearless examination of our lives. We must ask ourselves, what parts of me are truly mine, and what parts have I inherited or been taught to adopt? We must look at the ways in which we have allowed external influences, society, family, culture, to shape us into something we are not. This awareness is the starting point. It is the moment when we begin to see clearly, when we stop blindly following the script that was written for us and start writing our own. But awareness alone is not enough. It is just the beginning. The next step is to confront our shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we have long ignored or repressed. Shadow work is the heart of individuation. It is the process of accepting and integrating the aspects of ourselves that we have been unwilling to face. The shadow is often where our deepest wounds, fears, and desires reside, but it is also the source of our strength, creativity, and potential. To truly become whole, we must stop running from our shadow and instead embrace it. We must acknowledge our insecurities, our flaws, and our darker impulses, not as something to be ashamed of, but as part of the intricate fabric of who we are. Only by accepting the shadow can we begin to integrate it into our conscious self. This is not a process of rejection, but of acceptance. It is about recognizing that we are not just our light, our virtues, and our strengths. We are also our darkness, our imperfections, and our struggles. When we integrate both sides of ourselves, we become more balanced, more complete. Finally, individuation leads to authentic expression. Once we have become aware of our masks, confronted our shadow, and accepted all parts of ourselves, we can begin to live in alignment with our inner truth. This is the moment when we stop performing and start being. We begin to express ourselves, honestly, without fear of judgment or rejection. We begin to live a life that is true to our core values, desires, and passions. Living authentically means stepping away from the false security of the persona and embracing the fluid, ever-changing nature of the self. It means giving ourselves permission to evolve, to change, and to grow. It means living in a way that reflects who we truly are, not who we think we should be or who others expect us to be. And it is in this authentic expression that we find true freedom and fulfillment. Individuation is not an easy process. It requires courage, vulnerability, and the willingness to face uncomfortable truths. But the reward is a life that is fully your own, one where you no longer feel like an actor playing a part, but a person who is living authentically in alignment with their true self. This is the journey of rebirth. When we embrace individuation, we are reborn, not into a fixed, static version of ourselves, but into a dynamic, evolving being who is free to live, to create, and to be exactly who we are meant to be. And in this rebirth, we find a life that is richer, deeper, and more fulfilling than anything we could have imagined when we were still hiding behind the mask. Individuation is the resolution to the crisis of self-discovery. It is the answer to the question, who am I? And it is through this process that we reclaim our true selves, stepping into a life that is authentic, whole, and deeply connected to the truth of who we are. The moment you stop seeking approval and start living authentically, life truly begins. This is the ultimate freedom. Freedom from the constraints of external expectations, from the need for validation, and from the constant pressure to conform. When you embrace your true self, unburdened by the weight of society's opinions, you unlock a new way of being. It is in this space of authenticity that life begins to unfold in a way that feels real, vibrant, and true to who you are. Living authentically is not always easy. In fact, it can be incredibly challenging. People around you may not understand the transformation you're undergoing. They might resist it, criticize it, or try to pull you back into the comfort of your old persona. But here's the truth. If people resist your transformation, it's proof that you're evolving. When you start to live authentically, you disrupt the status quo, not just within yourself, but in the world around you. Your evolution forces others to question their own lives, their own masks, and their own stories. This can be unsettling for those who are still caught in their own illusions. When they see you stepping into your truth, it holds up a mirror to them, reflecting their own unexamined lives. And that can be uncomfortable. But rather than seeing resistance as a sign of failure, understand that it is a sign of growth. It means you are no longer playing by the rules that everyone else is following. You are forging your own path, and that is often met with resistance because it challenges the narratives people are comfortable with. However, this resistance is nothing more than a reflection of your progress. It's proof that you are no longer allowing the world to dictate who you are. You are reclaiming your power, your freedom, and your right to live a life that is true to yourself, not to the expectations of others. True freedom comes when you stop seeking external validation. When you stop looking for approval from others, you stop giving away your power. You no longer need permission to be who you are, because you have already accepted yourself fully. You become the author of your own life, and you start living in alignment with your deepest values, desires, and truths. The power of reclaiming yourself is immense. It's the power to live without apology, to express yourself freely, and to embrace every part of who you are without shame or fear. It's the power to create a life that is meaningful to you, regardless of what others think or expect. And it's the power to inspire others to do the same, to break free from the chains of external influence and step into their own authenticity. This is the freedom that comes with individuation, the freedom to be fully yourself without compromise. It's the freedom to evolve, to change, and to grow into the person you were always meant to be. And while the journey of self-discovery and transformation can be difficult, the reward is a life that is yours to live. No longer bound by the expectations of others, you have the power to live authentically, to create your own path, and to experience the fullness of life as it was always meant to be. Reclaiming yourself is not just about shedding old layers of identity. It is about stepping into your true potential. It is about embracing the freedom to live, to grow, and to be exactly who you are meant to be. When you do this, you will discover that life, in all its richness and depth, has only just begun. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." These words are more than just a philosophical ideal. They are a call to action. They invite you to embark on the most profound journey of your life, the journey to discover your true self. So ask yourself, have you begun to truly live? Have you taken the time to strip away the masks and the false identities that others have imposed on you? Have you confronted the fears, the shadows, and the beliefs that have held you back from embracing who you really are? The reality is, your life begins the moment you find yourself. It begins the moment you stop performing for the world and start living in alignment with your deepest truths. It begins when you shed the weight of external expectations and embrace the freedom to be fully and authentically you. This journey of self-discovery, of individuation, is not one that has a fixed endpoint. It is a lifelong process of growth, evolution, and transformation. But the important thing is that the journey starts today. Right now, in this moment, you have the opportunity to choose to step away from the persona, to embrace the shadow, and to live in a way that reflects your authentic self. You don't have to wait for the perfect time to begin this journey. The privilege of a lifetime, as Jung said, is the chance to become who you truly are. And that privilege is available to you right now. So take a step today. Reflect on who you are, what you've been holding on to, and what you are ready to release. Embrace the unknown and allow yourself the freedom to evolve into the person you were always meant to be. Your life, in all its beauty, depth, and authenticity, begins the moment you find yourself. The question is, are you ready to start this journey today? Thanks for looking. Every question holds the key to wisdom. Timeless wisdom, life-changing insights. If today's insights resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. Until next time, stay curious, stay wise,